Hi, I'm Fred Joyle, author of Super Bold, and this is the business story of the week.
Hey, this is Adam Gilad filling in for Shaheen Cheyenne, and this is Business Story of the Week. Our guest today is Fred Joyal, author of the book Super Bold. Welcome, Fred.
Glad to be here, Adam.
Super Bold, not Super Bald,
No,
and not
not
Super
quite.
Bowl, and
Yeah.
not Super Bowl. Super Bold, and it's about living life boldly. Now, it's
Yes.
interesting because I run a company called Bold Life Drive. You're the author of Super Bold, and my first question for you is, were you born bold, or is that something you had to cultivate?
Actually, I was extremely introverted and shy growing up through my 20s. And it was just something that uh, I believe was ingrained in me. I don't believe it's a genetic sort of thing necessarily. But I had to work my way out of it. So when people meet me now, they say, I don't believe that about you. And I say, talk to somebody who knew me when I was young. And those people will say, oh, yeah.
And it's interesting because they say that psychologists who have one child believe in nurture, and psychologists who have two children believe in nature. I had one child come out very scholarly, very quiet, and one come out with swords in his hands. Right? He is now a heavy metal drummer and lead singer, and the other one is a jazz pianist. He came out bold. He came out swinging swords. Some of us are born with a desire to push limits. Did you have that as a kid? Is it something that you weren't happy with? Is that why you sort of cultivated this idea of boldness?
I think I was mostly bored growing up, and I just wanted more. And I kept missing opportunities because I held myself back. I hesitated.
Like what?
uh, whether it would be going on like a fun adventure or asking a girl to dance or eventually asking girls out, uh, trying something new, trying something different, and then realizing other people were having a good time and seeing bold people do stuff and wondering why they were so comfortable doing it.
Right. They probably were not afraid of rejection.
Yes.
Is that something that you had?
Oh, tremendously. Yeah, I was always calculating how it was going to feel. Would I be embarrassed? Would I be humiliated? Would people laugh at me? Would I be rejected? And I took it on heavily. I took it on as an interpretation of my worth.
Interesting. There's Jung talks about the shadow, right? And people have to deal with their shadow self. And there's a beautiful way of handling it called embracing your shadow, dancing with your shadow. You and I are both entrepreneurs. And one of the ideas that I find most thrilling is embracing rejection, loving rejection. And I think you talk about that in your book. What do you have to say to folks about that?
Uh, what I say about rejection is that it's actually a choice. It's an interpretation of what you experienced. It is not the truth. You have no idea what that person's deciding not to interact with you for,
Or why?
or why.
Right.
You don't know anything about their headspace, and so to interpret it as I am not worthy or I am being rejected is just taking on something that you don't need to. And bold people just they let it bounce off.
Yeah. Yeah. I always tell my kids, don't say no to the universe. Let the universe say no to you if it wants to. And I got interested in the notion of boldness from a book called 59 Seconds, which is by a very funny professor in England named Richard Wiseman. And 59 seconds is about how to change your state or someone else's state in under a minute. And so I've had a dating and relationship personal development company. And what they said really got my attention because studies have shown, like there's university studies before universities went nuts this year, but there's a university study that showed that the number one attractor for women to men, what makes men attractive, is boldness, is courage, is the ability to. There's something about we think of boldness as something that's scary, right? That's taking a risk, but there's something about safety. Women tend to trust that. How does that carry over in business? What's the difference between boldness and recklessness?
I think it's boldness doesn't mean that you're looking for attention or a show off or anything like that. It means you're willing to accept the possibility of failure as merely an opportunity to gather some information.
Right.
And so in business, you have to be risk taking all the time. You have to make survivable mistakes. And sometimes you don't survive, which is okay. Every entrepreneur I know has had 2 or 3 failures before their successes.
I've been curled up under my desk. I remember that. I like that phrase, by the way, survivable mistakes. So it's okay to make mistakes. So where's that point of recklessness?
I think if you're not calculating the downside accurately, and this is how human beings are, this is why they are hesitant and not bold, is because we're really good at calculating the worst case scenario, but terrible at calculating the odds. So we think, oh, this could happen. And what bold people know is 99% of the time, nothing bad happens unless you interpret it that way.
Right. Right. One of the great phrases, I forget who said it, is there's really only 2 choices. You either win or you learn.
Yeah, that's really it. Failures to bold people are just a step up.
Yeah. There's the great phrase, of course, in Silicon Valley, fail forward.
Yeah.
What was it? Fail quickly.
Fail fast, fail forward.
Fail fast, fail forward, break things, and it's okay because that's how you learn. That's a side note. We're right near one of the offices of Facebook. They have a big office complex near here. And I went visiting with my son, and he has a friend working there. And I asked if that was still, move fast, break things was still their slogan. And he said, no. I said, what is it? And he goes, don't fuck up the world. So that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
So look, what's wrong? Some people are shy. Some people are naturally shy, right? So is this book not for them? Is your method not for them? Do you want to leave them alone? Are you culturally impinging on their identity?
No, I think that you can be a bold introvert. The idea is you want to take bold action when it matters most. And see, what people believe is that, well, I have to be confident in order to be bold. Bold people do all sorts of things that they're not confident about the outcome. They're just going in to see what happens, to discover what happens, and enjoy it no matter what. And so what happens is when you start to do that, you realize, there was something to this, and I was uncomfortable, but now I'm a little more comfortable. And so you can be shy. I mean, there are introverts who get a tremendous amount done.
Sure.
But they also would like to meet somebody. They would also maybe like to start a business. They would also like to have fun and stop just watching other people have fun.
Right. So take a chance, get out of your comfort zone. I once had a teacher who said that the opposite of happiness is not unhappiness. The opposite of happiness is actually comfort. Right? It's a kind of dead zone.
I have a strong belief that being comfortable is one of the things that's really hurting most people from having very satisfying life, because they pursue comfort as an end in itself.
Right.
Comfort to a bold person is a rest stop to recharge yourself to go back out into chasing discomfort.
Yeah, I actually couldn't agree more. I don't know if you follow Professor Scott Galloway, but he's been talking recently about how easy it is to have a facsimile of life by you can have an AI girlfriend, you can talk to people maybe on the internet, you can have your food delivered, you can watch what's on the TV and never actually leave your house and have a facsimile for all those relationships and never actually have a life now. So I think your book is more pertinent now than ever.
Yeah, I think people are very much impaired by your ability to live a virtual life, to have a false persona on social media and to get all your dopamine hits from that, but in the end, not really have a life.
Right. And I think it's going to get worse.
Yes.
Because it's going to get better. Because the AI girlfriends are going to be better. The AI friends are going to be better. The AI psychologists and coaches, I think, are going to get better and better as well. And I think we're going to have them in our ear.
Yeah.
You know, and telling us, you know, and not that it's a terrible thing. For example, this is the scary thing, I think, is that, for example, if you're in a relationship and you have a little AI in your ear and your wife or girlfriend says something you don't like and you want to react, it says, you know, don't react, do this, do this. Remember, she has this issue and maybe you should say this instead. And then you say it, and it's actually the best thing you could possibly say. So the facsimile of life, in some ways, and this may be a little off topic, but something I've been thinking about is scary because it's going to be good. You know?
Technology is neither good or bad. It's just how it's used.
Yeah.
And it can always be both.
Yeah. So when you have work with clients or you work with people, you have a method
Yes.
of how to sort of get people to break out. And I love your exercises. I can't wait to talk about the exercises you give people to break out of that comfort, that stasis,
Yeah.
right? That people live in. And you call it the pride method,
Yes.
right? So would you walk us through what the pride method is?
Yeah. The concept is that boldness builds just like a muscle. And so I looked at my life and said, how did I get here? How did I get to where I'm as bold as I want to be in any situation? And so the pride method, it's an acronym: preparation, relaxing, insights, dosage, and everyday action.
Not microdosage, just
No,
regular
not
dosage.
just full on dosage. But life is about dosage. It's like and in this case, you want to venture into your discomfort zone, but you don't want to go so far that you retreat back into your shell.
Right.
So and all of life, like you can overdose on water, on aspirin, on exercise, on any one of those things, and you can underdose.
Yeah.
You can go too easy on yourself.
Right.
And this is not about that. This is about you have to be willing to be uncomfortable, knowing that expands your comfort zone, and the discovery is all out there on the other side, where you're taking chances, taking risks, putting something on the line.
Absolutely. Yeah, I want to walk through pride. You're just making me think of something. You know, as biological creatures, we're allured to comfort. We want to rest, right? We don't have to work all the time, right? In the Bible, what was Adam's punishment? You have to work for a living, right? So we don't always want to work. We have a natural desire. You know, lions rest, 22 hours a day. And you're reminding me, there's a wonderful guy. I'd love to introduce you, Dr. Jeff Spencer, who's an Olympic coach. And he says that, you know, you have to overcome being human if you want to really achieve. You have to become superhuman, kind of like super bold. You have to resist the natural tendency to slide into comfort, which your body kind of really wants. And your mind, actually, part of it kind of really wants. So you have to resist that by, as you say, taking these doses to jump out. But let's walk through pride. Let's walk through those letters again. So P is for?
Preparation.
Okay.
So let's say you want to meet somebody. You see Zuckerberg across the room and you say, I've always wanted to meet him.
Right.
Prepare what you're going to say and prepare it in a way that's going to be effective. Don't just go up and be a drooling fan.
Right.
And it's like I do this with actors. I can meet any actor I want and have a normal conversation with them because I'm having a normal conversation. I'm like, hey, can we get a selfie?
Right.
You know, it's like,
terrible.
that's not, you didn't meet somebody,
right,
when you took a selfie. You pretended to meet somebody.
Nice.
So this is preparing that verbiage in your head. I want to meet this person. I want to meet this guy. I want to meet this woman. What are you going to say? A lot of times the easiest thing is just a compliment.
Yeah.
You know, and we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to be clever, to be cool, to be interesting.
Yeah.
How about be nice? Just be complimentary. Just be interested in them in some way. And then the other amazing thing, and I love talking about this because it happens so often, is when you're prepared, it creates the opportunity for spontaneity. Because you've got something to say, but in the last second, you think, wow, those glasses he's got on are cool. I'm going to mention that. And then, and he goes, oh, yeah, I got this. It's, you know, when Oliver Peeps or whatever, you know, and away you go, having a real interaction.
And it takes the attention off your own self.
Yes.
Right. Everybody likes to be paid attention to. There's a clip I show of Obama greeting somebody, and in 5 seconds, he gives 3 compliments. It's like, hey, you look good. Great shoes. I like your jacket. Boom. And the person lights up, right? Because it's all about them. You just put a spotlight on them. So you prepare ahead of time, take the energy off yourself.
Yeah.
And then PR. And R, I love this one.
Relaxing.
Yes.
you are able to relax yourself. This is talking about changing your state. It's really easy to change your state from anxious to energetic.
Yes.
And that's the great transition. When you can take what would be anxiety, let's say you're about to give a speech, you're anxious backstage. You go, I don't want to turn myself into relax, like slumping and be a sloth out there. I want all that anxiety to turn into energy so that my full self walks out on that stage and gives them everything. And it's so easy. There's controlling your breath, simple breathing exercises. When I go on stage, I'll take 3 deep breaths before I go on stage, and I just feel the settling. And because it's the same thing when you want to meet somebody. If you're feeling a little nervous, take a couple breaths.
Absolutely.
Because what happens is you say, oh, I'm in control of my state. Yeah. And it makes you even more relaxed. Yeah. It's and check your physiology. Are you tensed up? Are you, because one will hold our breath, because back in the African plain, that was a safety move. Don't be heard. So danger, don't breathe.
Worked in high school too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have the same reaction to real danger and psychological danger. Exactly. The body does. Exactly. So you have to reverse that, and it can be done really easily. But not when it's by somebody saying, "Why don't you just relax?"
Because that never helps. No.
Oh crap! I look nervous. That makes me even more nervous.
Word to the wise: never say that to your partner, spouse, girlfriend, or boyfriend. Relax. It's the worst thing you can say. Yeah. No, what you're saying is so true. We both live in Los Angeles, and I had to go to UCLA for something medical, and I was racing in traffic, and then there was construction, and I parked, and I ran up to the doctor's office, and I got in. They took my blood pressure, and they said, you're basically about to die. And I said, well, give me a second, and I did deep breathing for about a minute. Yeah, just deep breathing, lowered my blood pressure, and I'm still here. But yeah, that's how drastic it is. It really changed my whole physiology. So that's PR. R is relaxation, not sloth, but sort of turning stress into eustress, turning anxiety into excitement, like you said. Yes. Excitement may not be the best word, but enthusiasm.
To energy.
Energy.
Yeah.
And then so I is
insights. Now there's key insights, and one of them I mentioned is that bold people have figured out that 99% of the time nothing bad happens. Yeah. And a lot of times you interpreting it as bad is what makes it bad.
Right.
The other insight is, and you and I love this, is that people are not thinking about you anywhere near as much as you think they are. No. They're thinking about themselves.
Yes.
And when you realize that, and here's the corollary to that, is that we judge people all the time. I'll look at you and go like, he should color his beard. I should, like I'll like that jacket looks funny on him. We'll have all of this stuff in our head. Right. That's, he's this. I turn this into a whole character story.
Instant.
Right? We do it instantly. And that's sort of a protective skill or a defensive skill in life that's almost useless, because we're wrong about 97% of the time about who the person is.
That's true.
So if we're doing it, they're doing the same thing about us. Is it true? What are the odds that it's actually true? So why worry about it? Right. So bold people have like 5 or 6 people whose opinions really matter to them.
Right.
And everybody else, they don't even consider it.
It really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
There's an exercise I run people through when they have to make a bold move. I say, okay, what's the worst thing that can happen? And they'll say what it is. I said, and then what? And then what? And you just keep asking that question. And then what? Yeah. So like you're saying, nothing bad. You're not going to die.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things I say is dying of embarrassment is not a medical diagnosis.
Doesn't happen.
It's a figure of speech.
Right. Okay. So I is really having that wisdom or insight.
Yeah.
That, hey, okay, so maybe I'll get rejected. Maybe I won't. And we move on. D, we talked about a little bit, dosage.
Yeah. Controlling the intensity of the experience as you're building your boldness muscle.
Right.
And if you say, well, I really want to start to meet people, you don't go to a party of 200 people you don't know as your first attempt, because you're going to meet nobody.
Right.
And that's going to send you back. You're going to recoil and go. You're going to have a shyness reaction.
Right.
Say I'm going to meet one person a day. So this leads to E, which is everyday action.
Yes.
And this is a life skill to
Yes.
say anything you want to accomplish,
Yes.
get to every day. I don't care if it's learn piano, learn a language, be more romantic, bigger vocabulary, get stronger, more endurance, or be bolder.
Right.
Do something bold every day so that it becomes your default mode, because the brain is waiting for you to stop doing something so it can shut down, because
Right.
the brain is 2% of the body weight and 20% of the calorie consumption. And so it's always looking for the shortcuts and the way to stop putting out the energy. So if you want to get to something, you have to say to the brain, this is who we are. And the way you get there is by doing it every day.
Yeah. I was talking about bold, consistent action. Makes the man or makes the woman, makes the life.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing that happens just from a neurological standpoint is when you change your habits, this is, they've learned in studying neuroplasticity in the brain that the brain can change all the time throughout our lives. When you start changing your behavior on a regular basis, you build new neural pathways steadily until that becomes your default mode, because the other thing that's happening is the old pathways are atrophying. And that's huge to understand. That's why you want to get to stuff that's important every day.
Yeah. Neurons that fire together, wire together.
Yeah.
Right? That's the science. And that's, she calls it, Carol Dweck, I'm sure you know her work, calls it growth mindset. Right? And so that's what it is. It's growth mindset. So you're literally growing neural pathways.
Yes.
And it changes the shape of your brain, changes who you are and how you come across.
Yeah.
It's true. Do you what kicked you off into this? What was the event that really said this was going to be something you were going to focus on?
I was brought into this mentoring group, and we would do a weekend course where we would teach high school kids life skills, how to manage your time, money, relationships, and do goal setting. And so each one of the mentors got up and did a little presentation on, what we thought were critical life skills. And one of the skills I said was boldness is a life skill.
Nice.
And the sooner you master it, the sooner you realize that it can be mastered, the better your entire life will be, and you will be able to chase your dreams.
I love that. So it's not something you got from your parents necessarily. It's a skill that you can develop.
No, my mom was bold by necessity, because my brother was born at 8 months. He got polio, and she had to figure out what to do about it at a very young age. Wow. And she became a very bold person. My dad was the opposite. He was chasing security with all of his energy, and I saw which one, but this was the programming, is my mom being so bold so early was always trying to push me. So she was not controlling my dosage. So I became more and more introverted and shy, because she was always pushing me too far into my discomfort zone.
Interesting.
Yeah.
As another teacher of mine once said, we call it a comfort zone, but it's not it's not really comfortable. It's actually very uncomfortable. What we call our comfort zone.
It's a hiding place.
It's a hiding place. He calls it a familiar zone. That's all it is. It's just familiar, but it's not happy. It's not comfortable at all. So, okay, this is the big question I'm sure everyone's waiting for. What are the boldest things you've ever done in your life? Socially, spiritually, emotionally, financially, physically.
So I've done bungee jumping.
Okay.
In New Zealand, where they came up with the idea.
Oh yeah. Outside Queenstown?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that one.
Queenstown is like the adventure capital of the world. Yeah. But I was on Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? I was on that game show.
You were not.
Yeah.
I have a story around that. Go ahead.
And so they all told me backstage, don't do the last question. Don't bet all your money on the last question, because nobody gets it. You're going to lose your money. And so the last question comes up, and I said, I have to do it. I have to do it. And because I can, and this is the transformation, by the way. The transformation is when trying and failing feels better than not trying.
Oh, yeah. It is better to have
when
loved than
that
lost.
changes for you,
Right.
that's when you've created the neural pathways that will allow you to chase your dreams.
Did you win the $1 million?
Nope, lost everything. But I had a 1-800-DENTIST shirt on. They told me, you got a logo shirt, wear it.
Oh, nice.
Because they wanted to say that we're getting CEOs of on the show because they had too many dumb guests.
Right. I have a story about that.
And and Jeff Foxworthy kept talking about 800 Dentist and me and stuff like that. Well, because I went for that last question and I thought out loud, they said, think out loud. So I'm like, I could have answered the question. I used the kids and stuff like that. And then on the last question, I don't even understand the question when it comes out. And so I just start thinking out loud and I come up with some answer. And Foxworthy goes, I'm sorry, that's incorrect. And the whole audience goes, oh, they repeated that show endlessly because I went for that. I got like $1 million of free publicity for my company.
Everybody wants to see somebody try.
Yes.
Nobody wants to see
Yes.
somebody not try.
Yeah.
I remember a very religious person said to me, why do you like baseball? Baseball is not spiritual. I said, I love the excellence. You know, I used to like baseball back in the day. Now I don't like it, so I like basketball. But I love watching excellence. And there was a pitcher I think it was Darryl Strawberry. Or no, it wasn't Strawberry. This is many years ago. There was a pitcher I loved watching because I loved that edge that they were pushing. So I happen to have a great story around this show, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Because when that came out and they said $1 million, I said to my sons, who were, young teen, I said, I am definitely smarter than fifth graders. I'm going to go on that show and I'm going to win. And I'm going to show you how it's done, right? Talk about preparation, P.
Yeah.
So I found out that on the show, they only asked questions from California textbooks from 1st to 5th grade. That was where all the questions came from. I walked across the street to the local school and I said to the principal, give me all the books. When I win, I'll give you $50,000. Right?
Yeah.
And I said to my kids, this is how you do. You do smart, strategically, bold action, right? Preparation. So I did that and I got on. They took me because I had a very funny interview. I answered one question. They said, you're on, just because it was funny. And the day before, I came back with the worst flu of my life. And my eye blew up and it was literally, I've never had this in my life. My face was disfigured. And I couldn't go. I went in. They wouldn't take me, of course. And I said, I need to reschedule. And they wouldn't reschedule me.
Wow.
And then the woman who took my place got the question, what color do you get when you mix blue and yellow? And she got it wrong. She said purple. And I was crying.
That was the question.
That was the question.
My question was, what level of the Earth lies below the lithosphere?
The lithosphere?
Yeah.
Wow. That's one of the spheres. So I don't know the lithosphere. Well, litho has something to do
Keep
with
thinking out loud. It makes
writing.
for good television.
Doesn't it have something to do with stone? The word lithograph is a writing.
So there's a layer right below it.
Yeah. So what's below the writing is the paper sphere. The lithosphere. I've never.
Yes.
Heard. Yeah.
No, the correct answer was the asthenosphere.
Obviously.
A word I had never heard.
I have never heard
But
of either
every
of those.
one of the fifth graders knew it because at Foxworthy turns after I answer, before he tells me whether it's right or wrong, he says to the kids, "What do you think of Fred's answer?" And the kids go, "No." And I went, "Okay, there goes that money."
Wow. Well, it was a fair. The lithosphere and the asthenosphere. They're
Yeah.
up there somewhere, I imagine.
No, it's the crust.
It is
layer.
crust, right? So
Yeah.
I was right about litho and stone.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And what's astheno? Well,
I don't know.
Something for us.
Something Greek.
So that was something. What's another bold thing you've done in your life that you consider super bold?
That really has made a difference, mostly because it's a great story. Is I was on Necker Island, which is owned by Richard Branson,
Bold man.
and I was playing tennis. I was there with a bunch of business people. We had,
Sure.
We rented the island, and he was there. Sometimes he's there, sometimes he's not
Right.
there. And I ruptured my Achilles tendon.
Ooh.
Playing tennis.
Ow.
So I'm sitting there on a couch watching people play, and Richard comes up and says, "Oh, this is such a bother that this has happened to you. Do you happen to play chess?" And of course, the correct answer is I haven't played chess in 40 years.
Right.
But the bold answer is
Only in the asthenosphere.
yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Because
yes. Say yes to the universe.
Yes.
Yes.
And so he waves somebody, get a chessboard. He sits down and we play. And I'm playing such an unconventional game because I'm relearning the game as I play that I beat him.
Oh.
And he like looks at the board. I say, that's check. I said, actually, it's checkmate. And he calls me the C word, which is my real claim that my speed to cool.
A chess master.
Yes.
He calls you a chess master.
Yeah. And he said, I'll see you next Tuesday. And immediately sets the board up to play again and beats me. But we spend the rest of the week with him coming, trying to find me to play chess. And then at every meal, it's 30 people. And he says, sit across from me. Because we talked politics, all sorts of stuff like that. I'm not interviewing him. I'm not asking him to evaluate my business. Right. I'm not asking him to invest in what I'm doing. I'm talking to him like a human being. And he doesn't need all that other stuff. He's a billionaire. So he was really enjoying the time with me just because I said yes. And that story, it gets everybody's attention because I say, how often do you get a chance in life to meet the business person you admire most in the world and have a real interaction with them, not a selfie?
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
A real connection.
Yeah.
So the lesson there is say yes.
Yes.
Say yes to the universe.
Yeah.
Don't say no to the universe. The universe will say no to you, and it's okay. But you don't have to be the one who starts it.
Yeah.
So those are a couple of bold moves you made. You said yes to chess. Now, have you coached people in boldness? Is that something you do? You work with kids, with businesses?
I do lectures on it, and I coach individuals on it, and I have done workshops on it. I've done 2-day workshops on it, which really puts them through it, and is very transformational. We ended the first day with anybody who was willing to do it. This was in Santa Monica. We had to walk an entire block wearing adult diapers only.
Wow.
Yeah. And 6 guys did it, and one of the girls did it. And she was, can I keep my tights on? And I said to the guys, what do you think? We're going to let her keep her tights on?
Nope.
And they went, nah, let's let her keep it. She's willing. She's the only woman going to do it. And every one of them said it was such a non-event.
Yeah.
And the rest of the people were like waiting for us to come back.
It does help that it's California.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, every reaction from you look ridiculous. It's like, really? How so?
Yeah. That's great.
To applause, to like people taking pictures and stuff like that. Just not. We chose not to be embarrassed.
Again,
we were deliberately doing it.
People celebrate boldness.
Yeah.
They because people are yearning to do it themselves. They want to break out of their shells.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
You know, I've given I've worked with men and women over the years around relationship stuff, and so I one exercise I give men is to walk down the street, complimenting everybody, every single person they pass, whether it's the cute dog, nice smile, great hair, you look happy, something just to get into the practice.
Yeah.
Another practice we used to do is walk into a pizza shop and ask for a pair of shoes, just for that practice of saying something ridiculous, being looked at like you're nuts, and you talk about embarrassment and you don't believe in it.
Right. Especially if you aim for it, if you're aiming to quote fail or be embarrassed or humiliated, it's a choice no longer to be humiliated. I mean, one of my favorite stories is a friend of mine. She's a great speaker. She's on stage. 10 minutes into her lecture, she breaks a high heel.
Yeah.
Now, the women in the audience gasp when this happens because they think this is humiliating. Well, she looks down, she kicks off her shoes, and she says, well, I guess I got to start spending more than $30 on shoes.
Fantastic.
She owns them.
Everybody loves her. Everybody loves her.
They laugh, half of them out of relief, the rest of them out of that's damn funny.
Yeah.
And she just keeps on going.
Yeah.
She chose to turn it into something amazing.
This is really one of the key principles. You have a female cognate in Brene Brown who writes so much about courage.
Yes.
And she talks about that people spend their whole lives trying to seem invulnerable, perfect. And nobody likes those people. It's when we have those moments, right? When the
Yeah.
shoe breaks and she kicks
Yeah.
him off and she admits she spent $30. Suddenly we like her. And it's the same writing a movie, right? So I've worked in film for a long time. When you want a character to be liked, you show their frailty,
Yeah.
right? If you want a character not to be liked, the Biff character,
Yeah.
right? Make him quote unquote perfect, too good looking, too healthy, too rich. We hate that guy. And yet we spend all our lives trying to put on this show.
Pretend to be that guy or
Right.
to make it appear that way.
Right.
And so, and one of the interesting things that the breakthrough that happens as you develop your boldness muscle is you start to listen and realize how often you're the one stopping yourself.
Yeah.
Nobody else is actually stopping you.
Yeah. It's them voices in your head
Yeah.
that you're carrying from someone else.
And they are loud and bold people hear them. They just don't acknowledge them.
Right.
And they realize I'm not going to be the one stopping me. And that was the moment for me, as I said, like, I am never going to be the one stopping me
Right.
from speaking up, from stepping up.
Right. One practice I give is when you hear that voice limiting you, give it a name, externalize it, thank it. I know you're trying to keep me safe. You're trying to keep me comfortable. Thank you. And I don't need you, but I understand what you're doing. And then you're really encountering it. You're embracing it, and you're not repressing it. So it doesn't scare you anymore. It's not living there waiting to Shanghai you. Right. But you understand it's serving a purpose, which is to try to keep me small and try to keep me unseen, like you said, on the African plain.
Keep us safe. There's been many studies that show that we will put much more energy into preventing something bad happening than making something good happen.
Right.
Because and that's natural. That's innate. We have to stop being human like that, because we're missing out because of it. Because it's not dangerous. We're just programmed to protect ourselves from any sort of danger.
Yeah, it's really true. You know, one of the phrases I like most in your book is preventing regret stacking. Because I love the notion of skill stacking. And I'm adding boldness now after reading your book to my skill stacking. You know, public speaking is one. I mean, they're all kind of related, right? Negotiation is one. These are important skills that they don't teach in school. But you talk about prevent regret stacking. What gave you that concept?
Because that's what I was doing. Is I kept adding more and more regrets because I hesitated. Because that's all it takes is hesitation.
Yeah.
Caused by that underconfidence, that voice. I call the voice Dr. No.
Yeah.
He's got a reason not to do everything.
Right.
And so if you hesitate, the window of opportunity closes.
Yes,
you
sir.
want to meet that girl across the room, you think about it long enough, somebody else is walking up to her.
Yeah.
And so the more I did that, the angrier I got at myself.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to tap into that and mine those missed opportunities and say, I don't want that to happen again, because you don't get to go back.
Yeah.
I give the extreme example of giving a eulogy for a friend or a parent or a sibling. And people say, well, I hate public speaking. This isn't a public speaking opportunity. This isn't a performance. This is your last chance to get up and say what you feel about this person. Oh, I might cry. Oh, wouldn't that be terrible? Again, the vulnerability.
Right. I mean,
And so that window of opportunity will close forever. And I have been, we get to this age, Adam, and we've put a lot of people in the ground.
Yeah. This year.
And they'll say, does anybody want to say anything? And literally nobody in the room. And so I'll say something.
My
and
father's
before
joke
you know
is my father's joke is his brother was worse. That's like the one thing. Go ahead.
And so a lot of times I'm the first one, and it opens the floodgates because they see me do it. They see me choke up. They see me struggle.
Yes. You've really hit so many points in the last 2 minutes. And I want to just run through them so people listening can note this. Schoolboys are much more likely statistically to raise their hands and be the first to go. Girls are not. Right? Girls are socialized away from it. So people who are listening and watching understand that there is a gender difference in culture, right?
Sure.
Boys are encouraged to be that first bold person, and it serves us well, right? The second point, you mentioned something really interesting, and I want to make sure everybody hears it. You said rage, right? So some people say, well, if I'm not bold, I'll be disappointed. But what happens under the nice guy syndrome, and my friend Dr. Robert Glover wrote a book called No More Mr. Nice Guy, which is still a bestseller after 20 years. And he points out that when we try to nice our way through life, when we don't stand up for ourselves, when we don't ask boldly for what we need, when we don't state boldly what we desire, right? We repress it and we subsume our own desires to other people. Rage is what boils in men. For women, it's mostly depression, by the way. But for men, it's rage.
And it comes out everywhere else, but where it's supposed to be.
Exactly.
Because you are angry at yourself.
Right.
For not stepping up,
right?
For being this way,
right?
But it is not who you are. No. It is not genetic. Boldness is a personality trait. It is not a personality. It is a trait. I'm going to say that again clearly. This is what's important to understand, and what people think is the opposite is true. Boldness is not a personality trait. It's a life skill. Yeah. And some people develop it early and don't have it inhibited out of them. Most of us have it inhibited out of us.
Yes. It's socialized out of us, educated out of us.
Yes.
Right? I was that kid.
Don't stand out. Don't show off. Speak when you're spoken to. Don't call attention to yourself. Right. You're going to be embarrassed. People are going to laugh at you.
Right. I was that kid. Yeah. I was the one who wouldn't walk in the line.
Yeah.
Right. The one who, when somebody sneezed funny in second grade and everybody laughed, I'm like, ooh, I can do that. Right. I didn't mind doing that, and sort of defined my life, which is why I find your work so interesting. So just summing up, what would you recommend to people in business? Because we're really talking about business. What for people who feel like, I don't want to put my business at risk, or people know me in a certain way. Won't it upset them or scare them or hurt my business if I change in any kind of way? What kind of final advice would you give?
The safest path is usually the most dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
In life and in business. Yeah. You have to be evolving your business now more than ever. Mm-hmm. The idea of a 10-year business model, right. it's almost a
10
joke.
Minutes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to be adapting, evolving, taking risks, and recovering from them, circling all the way back. You got to make a survivable mistake. You got to calculate the downside, but then you got to pull the trigger.
Yeah. Watch your downside.
Yeah.
Is the key. Beautiful. Well, Fred, this has been enlightening and fun, encouraging. And you're doing great work. People can find you online.
FredJoyal.com. Joyal.
And in case you can't see the book, I don't know if you can see the book. Super Bold is the book, not Super Bald. Super Bold. And it's a great read. And by the way, it's full of exercises for people to test their boldness quotient, I guess.
Yes.
Well, BQ. I think we just invented that.
Yeah, and one of them is what I call the drive-by compliment, which you talked about.
Oh, yeah.
It's like just expecting nothing in return, and that's the trick. Don't have an agenda. Mm-hmm. Just, I'm going to make this person feel good, and then I'm going to keep moving.
Right. By the way, there's another one in your book that I used to do, I discovered naturally, which is to sing in public. Because when I'm happy, I just naturally sing. Yeah. And when I was single, women would say, "Oh, you're happy," or "What are you singing?" Or they'd sing with me. And people, again, they're encouraged by your boldness. They're allured to it and allured to joy. And boldness is a great source of joy. Thank you. This has been standing in for Shaheen Cheyenne, Fred Joyal at Business Story of the Week. Thank you so much. Thanks, Fred.
Thanks, Adam.